Hello, welcome to Think About It. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and as usual, I invite you to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, well, think about it. So today, we're going to be talking about some juicy stuff. So we're talking about business and finances. I know, you're all thinking, yay! Well, you better think that because this is really important, especially if you're a business owner. A business founder or the manager of a business, and you need to care about your money. And we're going to make this like in English, layperson's terminology. So this is a conversation with I know people say my friend, she really is my friend and longtime speaking and business colleague, and that is Marsha Lindquist. Marsha, welcome to Think About It.
Thank you. And I appreciate being invited, really.
Well, this has been quite some time coming because our schedules have been nuts. So let's hit it right away because we're running through time here. And my question always for my guests are, how did you get to this point? Kind of a short, how did you come to make this your business? And then especially focus on finances.
Well, finances are kind of probably in my DNA. When I got in line at birth for things that I wanted in life, numbers were it, I've spent my career in accounting, finance, contracts, pricing, anything that has to do with money, because frankly, I like money a lot. And to add one other part of it, I like it not only when my company's making money, I like it even more when my clients' companies are making money.
Awesome. So Granite Leadership Strategies is your business. Right. So, I think people think leadership, okay, I'm going to learn how to be a leader, yet finances are key to what you do. So right. What's that correlation?
Okay, the correlation for me is teaching the business owners that I work with, and a lot of them are small business owners. A lot of them are bigger companies that come to me and go, oh, okay, we're messing up. How do we fix this? And very honestly, I'm helping them, I'm leading them to lead their companies better with getting smarter about their finances, getting smarter about their money, getting smarter about knowing what things cost for them to do business. Yeah.
So if a viewer is not a business owner and they're a leader, whether that's by title or otherwise in a company, should they still be listening and watching?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because even if you're a leader in your company, you should be, if you're leading, right, you should be very, very savvy about your division, your set business segment, really about what the finances are, what it takes to be financially wise about your segment of the business.
Yeah, like I remember I was a manager at IBM and, I was, 50th down in the line of hierarchy probably, but was responsible for my department's finances. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So knowing, so I'm going back to business owner because I are one, as are you. I know that we business owners we're like, okay, I know finances are important, but I'm focused on getting customers. I'm focused on making money right now with my products and with my services. So why should I get the ins and outs of the finances when I got to get business done?
And that is part of getting business done. Let me be frank, because running your business is part of getting business done. Yeah, you're out there getting customers. You're worried about your products and delivering them to your customers and getting more business. But if you don't know what it takes to run your business financially, and you don't know whether you're making money or not. Yeah, I hear people say all the time, well, I got money in my bank account, so I must be okay. Or I even looked at my profit and loss statement and saw that I was making a profit, so that's okay. That's not good enough, okay? That's not good enough, because if you don't know the ins and outs of the finances of your business, you could be losing money and not know it.
So what are some of those ins and outs? I mean, there's tons of different financial records and financial reports we can be running. That just gets overwhelming to a small business, especially I say small business owner, but I don't mean to demean the size of a business. So are there some key ins and outs I need to be monitoring, some key forms?
Yeah, absolutely. So the things that are important every month, let me put it that way. You should be looking at this monthly. All right. The key things that are important every single month are your profit and loss statement, yes. Your balance sheet, yes. And more importantly, your general ledger. And now, if you've got a business that's complicated and has many different projects, you may even want to go a little bit further and know what each project costs you to do business. Now, I'll say this. If you don't know what your projects cost you, how do you know how to price them out in the marketplace to begin with? Because, and we'll get to that in just a little bit, I understand probably. But if you don't know what it truly, totally costs you for that project, how can you know whether what you're pricing is correct or not? Now, on a monthly basis, I like to see, and we'll talk about potentially this too, I like to see owners or division managers take a look at their general ledger in detail. And if you look at your general ledger in detail, you know everything that's going on with that business. You know about every single account, you know all the transactions, and more importantly, you know what to expect so that when you get your profit and loss statement, what's in there?
So typically, I hear from my colleagues and my fellow business owners, I hear things like, and I know I'm guilty of thinking that too. Well, I know that money came in. I think I'm making a profit. So what else? What the heck?
Right. Well, more importantly, is taking a look at your balance sheet. If you're looking at your balance sheet, you know what you've got in your accounts. If they've been reconciled, hello, you should be doing those reconciliations. If not you, then somebody else. Delegate it. You know, don't give it away. Delegate it, but make sure you're looking at it. And more importantly, you know what's in your accounts receivable, who owes you money. Oh my God, right? Accrued liabilities. Know what is going out or what's going to go out based upon your business level.
So with that, so I don't know whether to get deeper into this or, I mean, this is a lot of what you do with your clients in terms of helping them interpret, understand, put the right entries in the right places and all of that stuff. And I mean, there's so many other courses and programs about, you know, how to do all this and what tools to use. So I don't want to overwhelm folks in this program with that. I know you practice what you preach. So kind of take us through what you do on a monthly basis. How do you think through your business and the money ins and outs?
Right. On a monthly basis, without fail, I review my general ledger transactions every month. Now, I don't do the transactions, my bookkeeper does. My accountant takes care of the accounting. I'm looking at those details to see, are things the way I expected them to be in my company? It allows me to catch anything if someone is trying to do transactions I don't want them to do, right? So that when, excuse me, so that when my financials show up a week later after that, I'm not surprised. I know what's going on. I looked at everything in detail, so my P&L, my balance sheet look great because there's no surprises.
Taking And I know, having been in the midst of through the COVID-19 period, and there were all kinds of government loans, all kinds of SBA loans and grants, and I mean, almost an overwhelming amount of aid being offered. And all of them asked for certain documents. And I know a lot of business owners weren't prepared to apply for the aid and other financing because their documents weren't together. Can you simplify? So the general ledger versus the P&L state and balance sheet, just kind of one or two sentences for each so that it's simplified.
Absolutely. So the general ledger is going to tell you all those transactions that happen in your books, right? Now, the P&L does tell you what your profit and loss statement is. It tells you your revenue. It tells you expenses. It basically takes the general ledger and summarizes it, okay? Now, what's important is to know what's in the general ledger, because then you really know what's going, the pulse of your company. Now, if you were trying to submit information for those loans and you didn't have all that together, you couldn't know what was going on in your company to be able to answer the questions that were being asked of you. For example, you might have been asked, probably were asked about your payroll. So if you don't know what's in the details of your payroll, how can you answer those questions, right? People had to scramble like crazy because they weren't prepared. They didn't know that stuff or have that at their fingertips on a moment's notice. I mean, I was able to probably put that together in about 45 minutes because I have that information at my fingertips. I know what's in there. And I'm not saying every business owner or person who's responsible for that has that information, but you ought to be able to access it quickly and easily.
There's a lot to cover, and I know we're about to take a quick break in a minute. Thoughts on something you said slightly earlier about having somebody else do their finances. I know I've heard the term delegate, but don't abdicate. Real quickly, what's that mean in terms of our finances?
Okay, what that means is that you, just like a good manager would or a good business owner would, you are going to hire people to do the jobs that need to be done in your company, right? So you delegate it to somebody, you hold them accountable to do the job for you, but you got to check on them. You got to not abdicate it. You've got to be able to review it, approve it. Just like in any company, the internal control process that you put together should have checks and balances. There should be somebody doing the doing and somebody doing the approving and reviewing. And maybe there's somebody else even doing signing of checks or something like that. Even in my own company, I have the ability to have somebody else check my work, check my bookkeeper's work, and check what's going on inside the company.
So we're going to take a break. When we come back, let's talk more about making good decisions about our business based on our financial records and pricing and some other things. So with that, we'll be right back.
Why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others.
For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
Welcome back to Think About It, and I'm still Sylvia Henderson, your host, and we are still talking with, or I am still talking with Marsha Lindquist of Granite Leadership Strategies is her company, and you'll see her business information towards the end of the program. And we're still talking about finances and money and running a business, or at least leading in a company. So when we stopped, we were talking about the things that we need to do in our businesses monthly, along with other things. I want to go back to that. to get a little more clarity, a titch more detail about the things we need to be checking on a month-to-month basis. So you want to go and say any more about that?
I do, actually. most companies, most company owners or people who have a P&L responsibility in a larger company will take a look at, as we say, the top level profit and loss and say, okay, I'm good. But you really need to dive into some of the details. I know people don't like to dive into the details. It feels ugly, right? Because mostly they don't know what's in the details. Now, let me say this. If you don't know how to read the financial statements that you are presented with, it's really important for you to go get smart about it, okay? That may mean go take a course in a local university or college or something like that. If you fear the financials, don't fear the financials. Go get educated about what's in there and what you should be looking at. This doesn't mean you're going to become, an accountant. It doesn't mean that you're going to sign up for learning, accounting 101, but you may want to, as I call it, learn accounting for smarties, right? Get smart about your business, learn how to run it like you really own it, and also, learn what you should be looking for, not just from this conversation we're having today, but from people who are ready to teach you what you need to know as a business owner. That means taking a deeper dive into those accounts receivable to know who owes you money. Yes, taking a deeper dive into those, accrued liabilities to know, oh my God, I have a payroll coming up. Do I have the money in the bank to pay for it? I mean, at any point in time, I know what's in my bank accounts. I know what people owe me. I know what it is that's coming up that I have to pay or come due. I have a sense of that. I may not exactly know to the penny what that is, but you got to have a sense of it at least, okay? And know what you're looking at. So go get smarter about it.
So it's not a matter of, but I have checks left. I must have money.
Right. Or there's, I have cash in the bank. Everything must be fine. No, that's not the case, right? That's not the case. You got to know the complexion of the money that's there.
Okay.
I
like that term. So many of us business owners, especially if we're the founders of a business, will for years, and you see this on Shark Tank, you see this in business conversations and groups, for years, we will not take a salary or we will not take money for ourselves. Talk about that a little bit and whether we should do that from the get-go.
I think it's important, and I see this a lot with some of the upstarts that I have as clients. They'll come to me and they won't be taking a salary. And unfortunately, there's a couple of things wrong with that. One, you are not setting a precedent for what it really takes to run your business. And I get that you are being conservative, and I applaud that, right? But you need to take something, even if it's a small amount of money, on a regular basis, so that you get a feel for what it really takes to run a business. Plus, if you're going for a loan, if you're going for financing for your company, if you don't have that in there, you're not giving the bank or whoever is going to be lending you money a good picture of what it takes to really run the business. And more importantly, if you're going after a government contract, you're not substantiating what it really takes to run the business, so that you can't legitimately go and ask the government to help you pay for those costs. So it's really wise all across the board, even if you start out with a small salary, to be taking something. And please don't take them in draws. That's the other thing that I hear a lot from people. Please take them in real bona fide salaries, okay?
And I know there's so much more that can go into that conversation also. And I love how you say accounting for smarties, because nothing makes me crazier than those books that are the Dummies series. And it's like, but I'm not.
I'm not, right? And I want to say to everybody out there, when I talked about like you were saying, the dummies, I'm like, no, all these people are smarter. They wouldn't be in business, for goodness sake.
So in addition to the taking a salary and the ownership, the other thing I know we struggle with, and I'll say we because I do too, is pricing. Especially if I think products, because I don't sell products per se, may be easier when a lot of us in business are service providers. Talk a little about pricing and how knowing our numbers helps us with that.
I think if you don't know what it costs you to do business, right, on that service or that product, then it's very, very hard to sell it for a price, because then all you're doing is competing with everybody else who does the same service or has the same products, and you're trying to lower it so everybody comes to you. Well, you can't know what to price it for if you don't know what it costs you to do business in the first place. And the cost of that service, if you will, has to include all of the costs of your business. It can't just include, okay, my time costs, $50 an hour or whatever it happens to be. I'm going to sell it for $55. No, there's a whole bunch of other costs that if you took a deep dive into that P&L that I was talking about earlier, you would know that it probably costs you more like about $85 really to do business. So if you're selling it for $55, and I'm being drastic in my numbers, I understand, but if you're trying to sell it for $55 thinking you'll make $5 an hour extra, well, oh my God, you're probably not. You're probably losing money for every hour you stand up and put the key in the ignition. It's not worth it. You got to know that it costs you a whole lot more than that to actually do business.
Mm. And like I said, go ahead.
And the other thing I was going to say, yes, you do have to be concerned about what the market will bear. Okay, you can't price something so much that no one has any interest in it whatsoever, but you also have to know what it costs you to do business in the first place. So if you're talking about a service, you would want to know all of the costs put into that service, just like you would on a product. But even a product, if you can buy, something that you are adding value to or reselling, you really need to put into the equation those extra costs that are part of you doing business. Make sense?
Yeah, a lot. I know the other pricing issue that I come across, because I am in an information product business, is the whole thing about virtual. We're, so much of business moving forward is going to be virtual. And I hear questions like, so does that mean we price less because it's virtual and doesn't involve hotel or travel and all that? I know my answer, because I know how much trouble it takes to set up the virtual world, that it wouldn't be if I just visited somebody. I don't know real quickly whether you wanted to visit that topic too.
I do, actually, because again, back to my whole part of knowing what it really costs you to do business. So if you know what it costs you is going to be virtually the same, or maybe it's a little bit less than not being in a virtual world, you would want to assess all of those costs so that you know what you're offering makes any sense or not. Because I can tell you, even in a virtual world, there's a whole lot more costs that I didn't have before, in a virtual world, like you're saying, in terms of setup and cost of equipment and cost of, services that you're subscribing to. And I understand we've got some free Zoom kind of stuff out there, but sometimes that's not what you want. Sometimes you want something that's going to give you a little bit more bells and whistles. So again, back to my point, know what it costs you to do business, Sylvia.
Do you ever run into, and I know we business owners are frugal, so into that whole you get what you pay for kind of a thing? You were talking about services, free Zoom or whatever it is. There's so many things that are free out there, but as a business, to be professional, I know I have to constantly tell myself, but you get what you pay for with the free stuff. what do you find you have to guide business owners on?
Well, and I think that that's true. I mean, and it's even true for my business. Just because there's something that's free out there doesn't mean that you're going to get all the features that you need. So as a business owner, you need to determine if you're going to now replace the in-person quality that you had before with something that's now virtual. You want it to be something that's, first of all, easy for everybody to operate, including you, as well as the people who are using it, but gives you all the features that you want to be able to use to make it a little bit more interactive, if you will, to be able to share documents, to be able to make it easy for people to download information, whatever it happens to be. Make sure that you check out all the features that you're looking for and that they deliver the kind of presence that you had, that you did in person before.
Yeah. So time always flies when I have these conversations, and we're almost at the end of our time. What's the biggest thing you want viewers, listeners to get from our conversation today?
I think if they get nothing else, I want them to pay attention to the details of their finances in their business, okay? Don't be afraid of the money, okay? Embrace it like it was a hobby that you are trying to take on. Now, I don't mean that your business is a hobby, but embrace learning about it as if it were a new novel that you're going to pick up and read, or a new interactive game that you're going to play. Think of it as something that you can enjoy learning so you can feel more comfortable in your business, making the decisions that you need to make.
Awesome. And as we come to an end, I know, Marsha, your business info has been shown periodically on the show. You help business owners and business leaders go through everything we talked about today real quickly, verbally. What's your website, or how do people reach you?
Okay. So my business is Granite Leadership Strategies. My website is www.graniteleadershipstrategies.com. My business is mostly working with government contractors. I love small business owners because when I get that aha moment with a business owner on what we've talked about today, it's a win-win. So I do what I call the soft stuff, the business side of the business. And that's what I love doing. And it really helps to have business owners who want to learn these things.
Marsha, thank you. I know we can see that passion in you, and you got all choked up earlier. So thanks for being my guest. And to viewers and listeners, thank you for sharing your time with us, with me. And as usual, I invite you to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, well, think about it. So until the next show, make a great day.